All right, hope everybody's having a good day. I'm gonna get some work done on the Master Deluxe today. I think the plan is to finish up the footwells here. I took off the insulation on the inside of the firewall there, and I'm gonna weld up the kick panels and the footwells here, and then maybe, if I have enough time by the end of the video, we might get some actual sheet metal down and be moving forward. So I appreciate everybody coming back. I always appreciate all the comments that people are making. We're kind of ripping along now. So as soon as I get the front floor done, I'm pretty stoked about getting back to doing the electrical stuff. Hoping to get this thing fired up again and get ourselves off to RatStock. So I guess that's enough for an intro. Let's get some work done. All right, so here's the area we're going to be working on today. I did a little bit of trimming on the edges, and I found that I got a piece of the square tubing here. It actually lines up right with this, and if I can go transversely from here to that side, that'll give me a good reference for coming down to make our footwell here between the transmission and the floor. And there will be a little gap from here to here that can just be filled in with a little piece of sheet metal, not a problem. So the big thing though is figuring out the geometry here. What are we gonna do? As far as, you know, this is kind of an awkwardy shape. I'm probably gonna have to cut every individual piece before I put it in there, but that's just the way it goes, I guess, when you're building your own floor. So I'm gonna start cleaning this up. I mean, I'm just gonna use a wire wheel and we're gonna get off all the loose garbage here. I'll probably then hit it with the rust converter stuff, just so there's something on there. And then, you know, when the build's finally done, I'll probably, you know, I don't know, maybe I'll put some sound deadener mat or something on there. Not like this is gonna be a quiet ride, but just something for some insulation maybe, I guess. And then of course they're gonna have to make a hole at some point in here for steering column and for the brake booster, but that is a, you know, again, these are future problems. Right now we're not going anywhere without a floor. So let's start working on that. Well, it may not look that pretty, but I'm a filthy mess after trying to do all that. So we got most of the scale and the rust and everything off of the firewall here on the inside. I cut and freshened up some edges around here so that when I put my square tube across here, it'll have a place to weld to. I've got two bolts here, two nuts welded to the firewall. I can actually drill a hole so I can secure my piece there. That'll be cool. So it'll hold itself in place while I weld on that corner and that corner. And then I'm just going to bring some pieces down like such on either side of it, following where the firewall was before. I think that seems like a natural place to put it. Make sure that I got room for my exhaust coming out of my headers here. And so, you know, now that I'm a sweaty mess, that's cleaned up. Let's put some square tube in here so we can start finalizing a place, you know, to put your feetsies. Okay, so slight change of plan. I notched the edges out there and I tacked it on the bottom of that. What I'm thinking is, just to save myself work, because I've been staring at this for about a half an hour now and I'm really indecisive and I just need to make some forward progress. I'm just gonna keep the floor the same height forward. I'm gonna build a panel out this way, follow that little angle down on the kick panel right to where the floor will be here. It'll be flat. And then there'll be an angle where your foot rests. And then I was looking at this, and actually, if you look from the rear seat all the way to there, it's perfectly level. So even though my drive shaft should fit there, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just make a center tunnel between the seats, for a couple of reasons. First off is ease of fabrication for my transmission hump there, because I can just do one straight piece of square stock from back to front and I can cover that. Gives me a place to mount my shifter. It also, I can put a cup holder or some kind of console there, whatever. But I just really need to make some forward progress. So as I said, flat floor, gotta, you know, my brain, it's fighting itself. So I need to commit and do a thing because otherwise I'm just staring at this. So I'm gonna make some cuts and hope for the best. Well, I'll take you in here, and I will tell you, I'm embarrassed to tell you how long it took me to get to this point, because I don't know. I couldn't figure out angles. I couldn't figure out where I wanted to put the floor. Did I want to drop it down? Did I want to leave it just level? So I ultimately committed to leaving it just level from where the seat will go to where the footwell will be. I gotta do the same thing on the passenger side, but for the moment I'm kind of sweaty, frustrated, and I'm just gonna walk away from it for a minute. I don't know, it seems like it could have been easier. All I did is I made a square and a trapezoid and, you know, whatever. So yeah, we're gonna take a little break. Well, it's a new day. Some executive decisions were made after I was out here last night. What I decided to do is I cut some of this 1.25" square tube, because the guy that I get my steel from, Lynn Steel, he's in Martinsburg, Pennsylvania. Awesome dude. All the stuff that he gets is made in the United States, so good to support a local business and made in USA. So I got a screaming deal on the 1.25" square tube. So I cut 2 lengths, and as I said, they kind of, if I go from there to there, it actually is perfectly level. So I'm going to use those 2 pieces as opposed to the 3/4 inch, because that's cheaper and I got it on hand. So I'm going to stretch that from there to there. That'll make a, you know, kind of like a hump for the transmission, even though I don't need it. It'll make a area for me to put a console and to put the shifter on. So that's the plan for now. I already cut those yesterday. So I'm going to probably put some horizontal pieces between that. I don't know, didn't measure, say 4 of them, maybe, we'll see. And then we'll tack that into our structure here to get the floor kind of finalized here. Then I'm gonna make the matching thing to this on the passenger side. Then we're gonna cover it in sheet metal. So there is your Saturday afternoon update. Let's get back to work. Well, let me introduce you to my super secret methodology and scientific figuring out of where I'm going to put everything. So I put these 1.25" square tubes. I got them sitting on some cutoffs, a 2x4 and another scrap piece, so that they're flush back here. And I've got them on the edge up there. I kind of put my shifter where I think it looks good, especially when I get my legs up in here, if I can get them up in here. Getting in and out of the vehicle is going to be interesting. So if I'm in like such, and I get my handy dandy steering wheel that I think I'm going to run here, it seems like, you know, we're close on the shifter, but it's not going to bump my knee. That's in drive, and if I put it forward park, it's up under the dash. But if I kind of hold my steering wheel where I think it should go, it seems like we got room for everything right at the moment. So what we're going to try doing is, right now we're going to make the framework for this and weld this in so that we got a place to put our console and to mount our shifter. And then once I've got this thing welded up and welded in here, that's when I think we're going to, well, shoot. Nope, I got to do that side. And once I got that side done, then we're going to start doing sheet metal on the floor. So that's the plan. Okay, so here's the plan for the structure. I've just got a bunch of offcuts of that 1.25" square tube. Got my chop saw set up here with a little stop block, so we'll stick those in there. Get the old clamp happening there. And then we will cut, I've measured, we're going to get 6 of them from front to back on that. So I'm going to chop these up, grind them clean, and then we'll tack it together, put it back in the car to make sure it does what I planned, and then finally weld the whole thing in. So, forward progress. Well, so here's what I finally came up with. I changed the spacing a little bit to, I think 6 was going to be a little overkill, but specifically where I had my shifter mounted, I want to get my hardware to go through the factory bolt holes here. So if I line that up on here like such, this is my line where I wanted the shifter to rest in the car. So if I've got 2 supports there, I figured 1 in front and 2 in the back is more than adequate. So what I will do now is tack these in like such, and then take it to the vehicle, make sure that I like it, and then we will weld everything together. All right, so this is all welded up. I think it's way overkill to weld the inside corners of all of those, but this thing is going to be super duper stout. We could dance on that if we want to. What I'm going to do now is I got my marks for where my shifter is going to go, and I just use my center punch there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill my holes from top to bottom, then we'll flip it over, and then I'm just going to weld a 1/4x20 nut on the bottom side so that it's easy, so I can basically take my bolt and drop it through there and through the hole here, and then the nuts on the bottom. I think that helps with installation purposes. So what we'll do before we put it in the car is drill those 4 holes. Okay, so here's what I meant. I don't know if my explanation was good, but I got the bolts run through there. I drilled my holes through to the bottom side here, and I put a washer and a nut. I didn't have to do that, but I'm just going to put some tack welds on each one of these washers and nuts so they stay put, and then I can easily take the bolt out from the top if I need to take the shifter in or out for any reason. Then the nut stays there. It gives me a permanent mounting thing. I don't have to worry about trying to get under the car and put a wrench on that while I'm putting a wrench on that. So anyways, that's kind of the concept. So I'm going to just tack those in there, and then we'll take this whole thing over to the car and stick it in there. All right, here we go. So we got it clamped back there, and I took apart a clamp and I made it a distractor so that I could squish that down to make sure that we're level front to back. So here is what it's going to look like. So what I'm going to do is tack all the 4 corners here, and then ultimately when we put our sheet metal in, it'll be kind of on an angle. So if we go above this, you can see how it's going to sit in the center, and there'll be a slight taper or an angle from this square stock to this square stock to make our tunnel / console thing there. So that's kind of what I'm going for. That will make that piece continuous from the front floor all the way up to the firewall, and then this piece here as well. So we're getting there, one little bit at a time. All right, well, we are burned in front and back. So do the footwell over there in front of the passenger side. Then I think we can start putting some panels on here. So got the shifter loosely bolted in there. But anyways, pretty pleased with that. Looks pretty good. So not bad for an afternoon, but it is gorgeous out. I'm going to take the dogs to the trail and get them some exercise. And then I'll do a little bit more work this evening. Well, I'm back from the walk, and sometimes it's kind of refreshing, gives your brain a little bit of time to process a problem. And really what I'm thinking is, all right, so I'm almost 6'5". I'm a foot taller than my wife, who's going to be the one who's sitting in the passenger seat. You can see I've got a lot of room between our electrical connection for the transmission and the bottom of our frame here. So what I'm thinking is this thing fits in here perfect. What I might do is I might cut this out and put this one over into the passenger footwell so I can take these bits here, which are currently perfectly flat and horizontal with the rest of the floor. And now we're just going to tilt them down, I don't know, a few degrees. So basically, I don't have, there we go. Let me just get something to point with. If I put it down on an angle like that, it doesn't seem like a lot, but if I drop 1.5 inches or 2 inches there, that leaves a lot more room for my foot to sit while I'm driving. I don't have to bend my knees as much. It makes more room underneath the steering wheel. So, you know, when you chop and channel a car, you're using up a lot of space. So I think instead of being perfectly flat like that, again, like I said, aim down like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out, which is basically 1, 2, 3, and 4 cuts. Take this piece out and then move it to the other side. And then since I got to make another one anyways, I might as well make the one for the driver's side fit me a little bit better, as I will be the primary driver in this vehicle. So that is what I'm going to do. But I think I might get dinner first. So I'll be back later. Anyways, you can see that I have an absolute disaster area of stuff up here, but I did not record making the floor here because I'm certain that there are much better tutorials on how to make a floor on YouTube. Unless you are specifically going to take a 37 Master Deluxe and put it on into an S10 frame and take out all of the original floor, it's probably not relevant to you, but basically you build a structure of some tube, in my case 3/4 inch tube, and the 1.25 inch stuff that was super cheap, and then you weld up a frame. So what I did on this side, like I said, I cut it out, and I did that because I wanted to drop the footwell down a little bit. So let me just grab my level here, and when we got that setting level on where the seat will be, you can see by doing that, let me see if I can grab my tape measure and do this one-handed. By doing that, I gained myself 2 inches of floor, well, basically for my foot to rest on. So that's good because that means I don't have to bend my knees as much. My heel can sit down in here better, and you know, I can have the gas pedal lower, brake pedal lower, and then that also makes clearance for me for the steering column. So it was worth it ripping this out, and I did put the other one that I made over on the passenger side. So all of the structure is now finished. So the next thing I will do is going to be make some panels for this. But anyways, when I started earlier, it was light out. You might hear the crickets right now. So I'm going to call it a night. Might go have cold beer somewhere, somewhere being the couch probably. And then tomorrow morning is going to start with cleaning up this mess. So anyways, I'm signing off. Have a good night. So I don't know if this is the right way, the wrong way, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a piece of this 1/4-inch round rod, and I don't need this really for structural integrity. I just need this for a little bit of support in the corner. So I'm going to do a round rod from there to there, basically, and then round rod, you know, kind of, well, shifters in the way. You get the idea. Basically just a little bit of something, because I don't think I need any, you know, this stuff, this ain't going nowhere. And then you put the sheet metal on top. I don't need it for structural. I just need it for something to give me a little bit to weld the corner of where these two are going to meet. I don't think I need to use the 3/4-inch tube for doing that. So I'm going to cut some bits of this and stick it in these places here so that we can start fabricating the floor. All right, well, here's our couple little templates. What I'm going to do is, you know, I didn't do good with my tape measure as per the usual arrangement. So I'm going to add a little bit there, add a little bit there. I'd rather, you know, have it too big, you know, instead of cutting it 3 times and wondering why it's still too short. So I will cut these pieces, tack them in to make sure they fit. Then I will take them out. We'll do some bead rolling just for a little bit of structure, and then we'll continue on with every individual panel in here. I don't know how many it's going to be. I mean, minimum 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So a dozen for the whole front of the floor here. So lots of arts and crafts time coming up. Ow! Okay, well, this is just dumb. Got my boots on. All I wanted to do is cut off that crappy, you know, awkward bit that we had removed before, and somehow a spark went between the tongue of my boot onto my foot, and that freaking hurt. Ow! Now that I got my bitching and moaning over, we'll cut those out. Okay, test fit number 1 looks pretty good. On to, you know, the remainder of everything. So this is basically going to be wash, rinse, and repeat kind of situation. So I don't think I need to bore you with, you know, making this custom thing floor here. But, you know, I'll throw in some time lapse of me working and plugging away at it. So here's my template. I got my handy dandy reference sheet material here, the blueprints. And I'm just going to make these cuts and hopefully not burn the top of my foot again. So let's cut this out. Okay, not gonna lie to you, I did have to do some fine tuning, take a little bit off of this edge and that edge there, but we got it on here. We got enough overlap that I think we can get some tack welds around the border. So coming together here, it would be super cool if this thing, if I just, you know, flip it over there, if I can make this piece here fit there, then I have a perfect template. So I'm gonna do that now, see if it fits. Maybe I'll get lucky. If not, well, it's not that hard to do some more measuring, but it'd be super cool if I could just flip it over there. So I'll do that, and then we're gonna start working on this stuff. Well, I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty big win in my book. Only thing I'm gonna have to do is that piece over there. Stupid cord won't get out of the way. I need to make it a bit longer over there. But that's a total win in my book right there. So, well, I had to break out a new piece of steel. Again, I'll put a link in the description for my guy Lynn Steel, Central Pennsylvania, if anybody needs anything. It's all made in USA, awesome stuff. So all I did is, since that driver's side fit perfectly on the passenger side, I just clamped it on here so I could trace the outline of it. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut it, this segment off while it's vertical here. And then I will do some, you know, touch-up trimming so we can stick it back in the car. Well, here you go. It is lunchtime, so we're gonna be taking a break here. But you can see we've got kind of somewhat floor pans worked out here. So I'll clean these up, bead roll them, and then tack them around the borders before we get to work on the front section. So I'll be back after we take a little break. Well, I can tell you this is gonna be the least exciting part of my day. I'm just gonna grind these off, get the mill scale off of them, and clean up the edges so that I can weld them up. But I'm also going to, after I get that part done, as far as cleaning them up, I'll draw my lines for doing my bead rolling. And then I think I'll do this kind of in segments. I'll do the section where the seats are gonna go. I'll weld them in, and then we'll do the footwells after that. So for right now, it's gonna be pretty dull work. I'm just gonna clean them off. All right, so we got that ground off, got the mill scale off of there. So I'm just gonna do a border around this so we can get the bead roller on there. And I'm just gonna show you how I'm doing this. Again, I'm not here to teach you, I'm just showing you my experience and learning as I go. I did actually have a rare moment of foresight. I actually put this in the car and I took the seat and I put it in place so I could mark out where the mounting holes are going to be for the brackets for the seat. So I can kind of try to miss those when I do the bead rolling. Plan for right now is I'm just going to mark this out. I'm just going to use the width of the ruler as kind of my reference here. Right, so we're just going to go around all the edges on this. And actually, I just thought of something else I need to know, because there is a horizontal brace in the middle. Right? Hold on. Okay, yes, there totally is. So hold on, I'm gonna have to take some measurements. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So what I was referring to is that the horizontal support, I guess, front to back bar that's in the middle, that is going to be support underneath the seat. And if I was to do my bead rolling and didn't account for that, that would suck. So this is going to be the bar that's in the middle. Okay, now that we avoided disaster there, we are going to make our marks for the bead roller. So if you'd watched any of the other videos when I did the trunk, etc., this is no different than what I had done back then. Just marking out the perimeter here. And then I've got these two sections that are going to get bead rolled. And all I'm going to do is, just to make it look a little nicer, make it easier to make the transition with the bead roller, I just have this scrap, wasted cut-off disc, and I'm just going to use that in the corners to get a nice little radius here. A lot of this is, this process is me learning as I'm going, because again, this is my first time custom building anything like this. So, okay, now that I've got the perimeters, I thought I was going to have room to do 3 lines, but it looks like probably only 2. So now we're going to draw some lines down the middle from front to back, and those will be our beads in the middle. So I'm going to keep drawing here, and I'll show you the end result when I've finished. So I finished my pretty artwork here. Don't know if you can appreciate with the glare on the ground metal there, but what I did is I just found the center. So this one here is about 7 and something wide. So I found the center, and then I just made it an even space. I think it was approximately 2 inches. Same thing on this one, except this one's a little bit wider in the back because it does taper. So this one I'm going to bring forward, and I'm just going to stop short on that one. So we will have a border around the whole thing, and then a bead in the middle. And of course, we're skipping this area here because that is where my horizontal support is in the car. All right, well, it feels like it's been a couple of months since I used this thing, so probably be kind of rusty off the start. I did put casters on it, at least, so it's easier to get it around here in the shop. So I've got my lines here for these panels that are just going to be on the the side of the console and behind the seat. I'm just doing a perimeter. I'm not doing any bead in the center. I think that's plenty. I don't really need structural support there. So I will kind of do maybe one of these here, real time. I forgot how many counts there. Okay, so generally what I'm doing here, okay, first things first, pay attention. Okay, so I'm centering this on my line, and then I'm twisting my nut until I get contact with the metal. Then what I found worked best on the other panels was 2.5 turns. So we're on the metal, 1, 2.5. And then you just gotta pay attention to what you're doing. Keep that right on your line. Generally what I do is when I get to the corners here, I slow down a good bit because I'm nervous. And it's hard to keep a constant rate of rotation on the bead here while it's making the turn. So I'm certain there are people who can do it a lot faster than me and a lot better than me. Now that I'm back on the straight, I will turn the speed back up. Go down again for the turn. I don't know if I like the casters. Makes it easier to move around, but it's a little bit wobbly. So we may change that. Oh, I totally messed that one up. Oh, geez. And we completed the circle. Oval. I really need to weld a handle on that because that's dumb. Well, it doesn't look as bad as I thought. So, anyways, there's one panel, one bead. This will be ready to go back in. So I'm going to knock the other ones out and get back to you. Here we are. So panels in, you know, when you do the bead rolling, they get a little warped and kinked and such. I do have a bunch of clamps on here, probably totally overkill. I drilled some holes in the middle so we can do some plug welds on that center support. So I'm just gonna kind of go around the edge and zap it in a little bit. Then we'll bring the panel for the back and the side here, zap those in there, and hey, we're getting work done. I like it. Well, I would say it looks like we're building a hot rod here. So we've got good panels here under where the seats are going to go. Obviously, we need to do the footwells and etc. Finish up the console area there, kick panels, all the stuff. But, you know, I'm pretty satisfied for a weekend of work. I think that everything came together pretty well for where we started. So I will maybe find another day this week where we can zap in some more panels or something like that. But for now, I am shutting it down. Come on, Douglas. You're going the wrong way. Douglas, go towards the open door. Come on, Douglas, get out of here. Well, here's the deal. I got the floor done under where the seats are going to go. You can see more arts and crafts time here. I got my templates laid out for the front footwells, but I don't think that everybody wants to sit here and watch me build all of that stuff. It's going to be the exact same process as these panels. It basically cut out the template, grind them, bead roll them, weld them in. I think everybody gets the idea there. Probably has been overdone. So I will get this finished hopefully this weekend, and I'm not sure what's next. Probably I want to throw the wiring harness back on just to make sure I can get the thing running, and we will move forward from there. So again, comments are appreciated. I like reading everything that everybody suggests, and we're going to keep building. We have basically exactly 1 month to go, so I appreciate everybody coming back, and we will see you in about a week, and I will give you an update on more progress. Thanks for coming back. All right, I did have to share one last update. So I got the drive shaft back from the drive shaft shop today. Went to go put this back in. Not sure if you can really see the wooble on there. But I got the magic box of bolts out, and many years ago, I remember that I had put this in there, so that saves the day. I think a high spot of the video would be putting that into there and finding out if I can use a tape measure. Well, we are under the car, and it does appear that we got the length right for drive height. The question is going to be, when we air these down, are we going to run into that right there? If so, now that we've got the structure built around it and above it, I can easily delete that, but I still want to see if we can run it the way it is. So I'm going to just jack up the differential here so we got the airbags flattened out and see if it actually fits. Well, just to show you how drastically the pinion angle changes when you got it airbagged out, I have my 4x4 under there. Airbags are totally flattened, so this would represent when we are bagged all the way out and laying on the ground. And I don't even know if this will focus in here, but we have about 1/4 of an inch. I don't know if you can see that, but 1/4 of an inch away from my cross member there is adequate, because this will never be driven while the bags are all the way down. So we're calling that super duper win. Super pleased. All right, enough of that. Appreciate everybody coming back. I will see you the next episode.